Tori, for giving that good introduction about the challenge of food waste. It is such a massive challenge, but also a huge opportunity for food businesses. And what we're hoping to do through this session is to give you a bit of examples of what food businesses, local ones in the Fleurieu, are doing to tackle this mammoth issue and break it down to something that's actionable. Just to give you a bit more context about the program before we go to the panelists, this is a program that we were running for about 6 to 7 months with the 3 businesses who applied through Business Victor Harbour with support from Green Industries SA to be part of a program to reduce their food waste. The very first step was looking at establishing a baseline to help these organisations identify just how much food waste they're actually generating, where in their business it's happening, and what's contributing to that. The next stage was brainstorming opportunities together with their team on what they can do to reduce that food waste. And the final stage was about then evaluating those opportunities, shortlisting the top ones that were going to make the most impact and be feasible, and providing that into an action plan. So yes, I am joined, as Meg mentioned before, by Beck Butler, Executive Director of Cooinda Retreats, who's fresh off a beautiful holiday in Norway, so we're all a bit jealous of Beck. We have Richard Whitaker from Baker's Delight, who's about to go on a holiday to Bali, so also jealous of Richard. And then there's John Rockford, head chef at McCracken Country Club, who is joining us. Unfortunately, we don't have video of John, but he's joining us via Stuart's login there. We had Stuart is an apology today. He was unwell, but we're very lucky to be joined by head chef John, who has been heavily involved throughout the program. So welcome to you all. Okay, thank you. And just make sure to unmute yourselves. There we go. Okay, well let's start with you, Richard. So if you can just first of all talk a little bit about the shops that you operate through Baker's Delight, and explain why reducing food waste is a priority for your business.
Yeah, so we own and operate 3 Baker's Delight franchises. We have our bakery at Victor Harbour, our retail-only site at Galway, and also a bakery in Happy Valley. Food waste, I think, given that we're a food production business with dealing with daily demands and daily customer trends, it's very inconsistent on kind of what sales. Our brand is very much based on baked fresh daily. Mm-hmm. Our customers come to us because they know that we're going to have fresh bread every single day, hand prepared, fresh ingredients. We also operate, obviously, as a franchise system, and we're bound in some ways by expectations of a franchise network who expect a customer to be able to come at 7 o'clock in the morning and be able to have the same range of products available as they would do at 5 o'clock at night or 3 o'clock in the afternoon. So it's very difficult for us to monitor that intricately and make sure that everybody can come down. So it's about prioritizing what we have available. I think, for us, it's a major concern how much product we do waste. We have to discard quite a lot of our product at the end of the day. So obviously quite a visual thing as well. Customers come up to us at the end of the day and see a shop full of bread. And, as Tori was saying earlier, customers are getting quite detailed on wanting to know what happens in businesses. They are making those decisions. We've had a lot of feedback within the community about the decisions that we make and where does it go to and what do we do with it. So it was a big thing for us to really want to try and make a difference in that and reduce what we're doing, both from an optics, but also from a business operational aspect, reducing what we do within the business and look at how we can save money.
Yeah, thanks, Richard. And as you say, that is a challenging retail environment that you operate in, with managing those expectations from the
Yeah,
customers. On the one hand, they expect to see loaves of bread in every variety at the end of the day, but on the other hand, they also have a growing awareness about the waste and the environmental impact. So you're balancing those two different expectations by the sounds of it.
definitely. And, just the daily nature of it. Every single day is a fresh start. We don't have any fallback, or we didn't necessarily previously have any fallback on what we could do.
Okay, and I might jump to Beck, and I'll come back to each of you throughout, but just to mix it up a bit. So Beck, can you provide a little bit of an overview for the audience about who Cooinda Retreats is, what you do, and why reducing food waste is important to your business?
Great, thank you, Kat. At Cooinda Retreats, we're a site that has been operating camps for kids and also for school groups for about 100 years now. And one of our biggest areas is for school camps and also for community group camps. And so we can be catering for sometimes over 200 people, but generally it would be a minimum of 40, usually about 80 people per camp. So we have to be very strategic financially in how we're creating menus and what we're providing from a profit position, but also we're wanting to make sure that we are providing really beautifully presented and nutritious meals, but also things that come within a budget, because it's not big amounts of money that we're receiving per person for meals throughout the day. We created really amazing menus and which was great. But then when this opportunity came up through Rawtec and Business Victor Harbour and Food SA, it was another opportunity to perfect what we thought that we were already doing a great job, but what could we do to make it better? We had big compost heaps and we had students scrape the rest of their meals and put it in our compost heaps, and that was great. But what could we do to really reduce our food waste? And we'll probably get into the bit of this further down the track. What it really highlighted to us is in the involvement that our employees had in that process. By being a part of an initiative, we're able to say to not just schools, but also to our staff, this isn't just coming down from management. This isn't just a management idea or another idea or a flavour of the month. This is actually an initiative that we're a part of, and that we had obligations to that initiative to perform and to be an active partner in that initiative. So it was really great opportunity to get even better at what we were doing by being a part of this, which was great. So thank you thanks to the partners for bringing this together.
Thanks, Beck. And now over to John. So John, taking the perspective of McCracken Resort, can you just first of all tell a little bit about what McCracken Resort do for those who are not familiar with the organisation, and then why your organisation joined the program? What was it about reducing food waste that's important?
Hi guys. Look, give you a brief rundown. McCracken Country Club obviously is a resort golf course, catering to everyone, public and private members. We have a restaurant and convention centre here as well. So there's quite a bit of food that does move through the business. When we initially met with Kat, we did the sort of assessment on our waste volumes, and personally, to hear the word 6.9 tonnes of wastage was quite alarming for me to visualise that volume of wastage. It worked out roughly to be about 16 grand a year. And for a business, obviously we're a publicly listed company, we've got to be doing everything we can to get the best results we can for our shareholders, as well as, obviously contributing to a cleaner, greener society. So something we took quite seriously. I'm glad we did, because some positives for the kitchen have come out of it. The sort of the initiatives that we wanted to put in place, which are about to start now that we've got a new menu coming in. So I'm glad we we went down this path and certainly joined in on the program.
Thanks, John. And just follow-up question for you, John. So before you took part in the program, how much visibility did you have in your organisation about food waste, which links back to Tori's earlier point at the end of her presentation, was to ask as a call to action, do you know how much food waste you have? Like how much before you got involved did you?
Well, for me, it was a difficult one because I literally only just started a month before we met you guys. So
Yeah.
I was coming into an older kitchen. The waste at the time seemed normal. I should say that now. But after doing the processes, it's certainly, I don't think it was normal. I think we had a lower than average waste per plate than most places that took part. But looking back on that now, we've put in a few things to reduce that further, and it's certainly working. And I'm now about to get a hydroponics garden and my own freshly grown fish here, so I'm pretty happy with the results.
Thanks, John. So we'll pause that and pick your brain later about what initiatives you're planning to put into play. How about you, Richard? From Baker's Delight perspective, how much visibility did you have over your food waste before you got involved in the program? Is it something that you tracked?
I think just going back to what John said, I think, what was accepted as a norm was probably the big thing for us. It's really, we had very good systems within our business of tracking our daily wastage. We enter our production on a daily basis, and we know what food we produce, we know what we sell, we know what's left over at the end of the day. So there was always reports available on what we had. It was obviously broken down from a business perspective. It was we look at it. We used to look at it as a retail pricing. We've gone away from that. We look at it as a costing, but we never looked at it as on the economic impact on a tonnage. And to see, as John said, to look at those figures and see the amount of waste just in weight volumes was an eye-opening experience. So, and then just looking at what was the norm, and throughout the process, it's kind of been, well, why do you do that? Well, we've always done that. Or why do you make that extra tin? Well, that just filled the oven up, so it's just easier just to make it. Or it was easier just to make a full tray rather than half a tray. So just some of those little things are mindsets that were just a normal. That was just what we did. We wanted to maximize productivity, but we were just being productive just to throw things in the bin.
Yeah.
So,
and Beck, did you have before you started this program, did you measure your food waste? Did you ever weigh it, or was that something completely new to your organisation through this program?
Our food waste was always based on visual and only visual, and hadn't really even thought about auditing or weighing food waste at all. So that was a really big thing that we took away from the food audit.
Yeah, so maybe we'll dig into that a little bit more now. So for the audience, just to explain about the food waste audit, it was about empowering each of the sites to have the tools and the resources to carry out their own audit, having a set of scales, having a data collection form, and going in there and measuring how much food waste they're generating per day by different types of waste. Now, it does differ for food service. We're looking at prep, plate, spoilage, buffet type wastes. For Richard and his team at Baker's Delight, being a retail business, we did different categories of waste which are more linked to the product of that are being sold. Just reflecting on that process, and maybe we'll go back to you, John. How was that as a business? You run the kitchen. How was that process of separating the food waste and measuring it? Can you take us through your experience there?
Well, look, I think it was really straightforward. I mean, thanks to you, Kat, we had everything in place in regards to a number of different bins, all the scales we had, et cetera, et cetera. And I guess we sat down as a team and sort of gave each member of the team a different waste stream to monitor. So someone might be looking at plate waste, someone might have been looking at coffee grounds, someone was doing prep waste, etc. And then each day we'd sort of switch over, so each member of the team got a different look at those different streams. And by doing that, we certainly started getting a lot more discussion on how we can get over those problems, and just little things we could do to, or changes we could make in our daily prep volumes that would sort of affect that overall wastage. And I think since we've started, we're probably down to about 30% of the waste we were doing when we started this. So it's certainly seen a big impact in the kitchen here.
Yeah, right. And Beck, you're a similar food service type organisation. How did the team find that? Because I often, when we run these projects, there's an initial hesitation. I've got to measure the food waste. This is going to be a huge thing. It's going to be a pain. You know, how was that received by the team?
I think they actually quite liked the project side of doing that. I think they were pretty interested in seeing what the results would be, but we didn't really we didn't have anybody that wasn't keen to do the process. I mean, we had to get schools and the kids and everybody involved in the process as well, to measure what they was, to know what they were scraping, that we were measuring that. But yeah, we didn't have anybody not interested in doing it. It was really positive.
Okay. And Richard, for your team at Baker's Delight?
Yeah, they all really embraced it. We have two kind of teams within our organisation. We have our production team, our bakers, who were counting the end of day production spoilage, and they, took that and were doing that and looking at that and monitoring it and seeing what things they could action just on a daily basis. Mm-hmm. And then our retail staff at the end of the day were counting different categories, just so that we could have a bit of a better breakdown and overview into the different categories of products that we were wasting, and if there were particular areas we could look at. But they were showing initiative and coming in and training each other, and within 1 or 2 days it was self-managing, really. The team were just jumping on and doing all of the audits themselves, so it was great.
And did you learn anything, Richard, from the audit results or the audit process that surprised you?
Not particularly. I think a lot of the information that we had, we probably were aware of, and the category wastage were round about where we wanted to be. So we were wasting kind of our traditional breads, which are the big sellers, and you would expect to have them and want to have them at the end of the day. But no, it was pretty good.
And Beck, did you have anything that surprised you from the process or the findings?
No, I don't think so. No, it was good to put figures to our visuals. But yeah, we were glad that our results were pretty good. That was a really good pat on the back for all of us, for all the systems that we'd been putting in place beforehand, that we were on the right track, and that incentive to go, well, let's just try and do even better.
So just what I'm hearing is it kind of validated where you thought you were at and provided the data to move forward with. And John, was that the same for you as well? It validated where you thought you were, or was there anything that you thought, this is surprising, there's a lot more plate waste coming back, or from the customers, or?
No, it certainly validated where we thought we were. Once again, as I was saying before, actually having an overall picture of volumes by weight, it makes you ask a lot of questions, particularly when there's value attached to that weight, or loss attached to that weight. So as a group, we've all sort of continued to talk about how we can actually look at generating profit from those waste streams, which is something we're about to start achieving with this next menu.
And I guess, from what I'm hearing is that the audit, once you got started, the staff were very supportive and were engaged. What did that come down to? Is that just generally how your staff are, or is that I'm just curious, is that something that other businesses could expect if they did this process, or is that just something special about your organisation, so three of you?
No, look, I think initially, like any business anywhere, when you tell them or the team, look, there's going to be more to the workload and this is what it's going to entail, there's always a lot of huffing and puffing and, do we have to? But when you got down to it, it was really straightforward. It didn't take any more than 5 minutes a day, sort of once in the morning, once at night, to sort of get on top of it. And I guess once we actually saw it, all the chefs started seeing in the kitchen changes that we're making to the daily routine just because of the audit we had done. I guess their appreciation for the efforts they were making was being realised, which is what was important. So no, we've got full support from the team here, which is great.
Yeah, and Richard or Beck, was your staff always on board with these things, or did you also have a bit of initial resistance?
I think the team just wanted to be involved. I think it's a cause that everybody's aware of, and I think that there was I found that we employ quite a younger workforce, and I think that they were very engaged with the topic, and they were curious to see exactly what was happening in the business.
Yeah. Beck, is that the same with you?
Yeah, absolutely. It's 2025 and we're a foodie state. Yeah, and people want to be a part of that, I think.
Yeah, okay. So it's also responding, by the sounds of it, to your teams, your staff interest as well. It's not just about addressing customer concerns about reducing food waste, but also a way for your staff to be engaged with something that makes a difference. I just remind people we do have a Q&A box, so please do post your questions in there throughout. I haven't seen any come up yet. But yeah, so I'd like to now move on to talk about, you know, what did you like? What was the takeaways from the program in terms of what solutions and implemented? Oh, we have one from Tori. Go on, Tori. You can pop your hand
Hi
up.
there. I just want to say, firstly, congratulations to the businesses. I mean, you're really leaders, aren't you, in taking this on? It's always tricky when things are busy, particularly in the food industry. I mean, it's 24/7, isn't it? To take on a new initiative and to lead the way, to get past the grumbles of the staff and to put something in place, because you are actually educating all of us. So I really want to commend that. It is really important when creating change that people are willing to start the process. I'm interested to know, were your customers aware that you were doing this?
We didn't do anything within the business to let our customers know at all. No.
All of our customers knew, they were involved in the process as well. So we had, like, that could be, I think we had, I can't remember now, but I think it was a couple of schools in that had 90 students in. So they were all aware of it and they all participated in it. So we have our teachers and all of our students, and we have community groups as well. So that could be, for instance, a church group that could have 80 people come as well, and they're all made aware of it. So they're all taking that message, they're all receiving that message on camp and then taking it home with them.
Exactly. Fantastic. Because really, again, to create change, you need to create that groundswell. So the more people that know about it, the more you have then the advocates who can go and spread the message. But I understand, Richard, from your perspective, it's a tricky thing to actually then promote because your customers are right there and they might have even been speaking about this for some time.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
Yeah. Brilliant.
We do
Thanks, Kat.
No, thank you, Tori, and thanks for that comment as well. I second what you say. Congratulations to you all for doing this. It is hard, especially when it's with small and medium businesses, to take the time out to do this kind of thing when you've got other competing priorities. So that certainly demonstrates leadership. Colin does have a question. I should say you can the Q&A box is available, but I will go to Colin briefly, and then I'll come back to this team to talk about what initiatives they're looking to and solutions they're looking to put in place. But over to you, Colin, your question. Can't hear you.
Thank you. Just very quickly, again, I concur with what Tori was saying to the three of you, the three of the businesses. Congratulations on your efforts and what you've done. But importantly, the question I'd have for the three of you is, do you find the exercise of having an independent person like Kat, and I don't mean this rudely, holding your hand on the journey, do you find that's of value to your business? And would you like to see a lot more of that happening in business in general, particularly in the food and beverage business?
Great question. That's great, Colin. I'd love that. I think definitely having somebody that's that's their, that's their trade, that's their point of interest. That's where they've got their specialty, coming in and supporting in that process, and also making you accountable as well with dates and times and processes. And also, I think, from a management position, when you can go to staff, I mean, if you've got in a workplace, if you've got KPIs, all businesses work on KPIs, and there can be formulas, they can be based on opinion and so on, and most people don't like them very much, but this is kind of like a KPI but different. And being able to go to staff and going, we're not just asking you to do this, we're actually part of an initiative that's requesting us to do it, game changer. And then being able to go out to sometimes to schools. There was one group who their kids were just eating so much and then piling up plates and then wasting it, and being able to not just go, can you just get your students to either not pile up their plates so much because they're not eating at all, or can you go and monitor it, to be able to say we're actually part of a collaborative food waste audit process. It just gives you some backing to say that you're part of this. So it's really terrific. And then now we get to use that all the time now to say that that's the initiative that we were part of. Yeah, it's great. And it also then with staff as well, you get to say that to staff, that's you're employed here and that's what we're a part of and that's what we do. So yeah, it's great.
Excellent.
I think for us, having Kat and the team from Rawtec, they had such a good background within the bakery industry. They'd done case studies previously on the baking industry, and there's so much knowledge that they were able to share with us, and ideas that we hadn't particularly maybe thought of, and things that we were able to take forward even nationally and talk to people within our head office and look at options that we're working with and implementing now into our business. So that was really great. And as Beck said, making us accountable and having those time frames and deadlines to get things done, because especially at the time of year that we did it was over January, a crazy time of year for us, but just committing to doing something like this, just really, we wanted to do it, but it would have been easy just to push it to the back burner.
Yeah, I second Richard and Rebecca's comments there. I mean, I don't think all the businesses have the capital and ability to brainstorm and get the information or the access to the information and the understanding that you gave to us all, Kat. And I really think unless we've got someone on the outside like yourself, the opportunity in this business to have a dedicated professional sort of looking into ways we can improve those waste streams just is not there. So it was a big benefit to have like an outside passionate group that could sort of help us walk the walk.
And just if I could just sort of quickly add, and I guess being part of this collective, we were looking for another supplier for bread rolls when a bakery was sold. And then it was great to be able to go to Richard and become our new roll supplier, knowing that he was part of this initiative.
Wow, how good is that?
So that was really great to not just go to somebody else supplying bread rolls, somebody who's also who takes food waste seriously. So that was really great. So thank you, Richard.
Thanks.
Well done, you three. Well done. Well done.
Tori, you've got another question? Comment?
Well, not so much a question as a comment, that having you, Kat, as a partner and being able to, I imagine, document the data that was coming out of these businesses would have been really useful. Would you say that was the case? I imagine that the businesses received reports from you about the sort of changes that were made.
Yeah, so they all received an action plan, which was the last stage of this project that, was and also was shared with Business Victor Harbour and Green Industries, to say the two project partners as well. So having that physical action plan, which is intended to be a live document that gets updated over time, and it's essentially, these are what they're planning to do, and here's the timeframes and who's responsible. So that was certainly part of the outputs, Tori. Did that answer your question?
Well, I think it's useful to reflect on what tools you provided, so that other businesses that are on the call can also learn from that. I don't know whether there's some dot points that can be shared, because again, for busy businesses, the more that we can provide for them, and if there's anything you can share with me, I'm also happy to send it out to our network as well, Kat. I like to make things really easy for businesses to create change. And by the sounds, that's exactly what you've done for them.
Yeah, happy to share some stuff, but I'm actually just curious about that, because one of the challenges that we've had, and I know we're going into detail, how do we help businesses, but one of the challenges we've had is how do we get the impact of these types of programs out to more people? Because as much as we would like to help as many businesses as we can one-on-one, there's always budget constraints and limitations. So I guess a question to all Beck and Richard and John is if you hadn't had that one-on-one support and it had just been online, do you think you would have participated in this type of initiative, or did you need it to be that one-on-one, someone following you up, coming into your business, seeing back of house and talking to you and working together with you and your team?
Well, I'll be honest and say I don't think it would have had the commitment and the buy-in that it would have had if it was just registering online. I think, you know, the personal input and the commitment and the support that you guys offered, and you know, initial consultations and meeting with the guys from Cooinda and McCracken, and knowing that we're all on this journey together, it made it kind of more of a, I don't know, it's, you know, it wasn't such a chore.
Yeah,
I think so too. It was definitely, we're very fortunate. Our business is very fortunate to have had this experience. So I think on the many different ways that you can roll something like this out, we are at that end of being the most fortunate in being able to be supported through this whole entire process. I think if maybe it's definitely, if it was an online program centered around certification, or not something that you have to do, but something that makes your business look good, and something that you can put up to say that you're part of the XYZ food waste initiative, which has been endorsed by, that can just look good too for a business as well, if it's kind of part of that if it's, I mean, I can imagine it has to be some type of online process to do in order to get the reach, because of budget. But if there's, you know, why would businesses do it to the extent that we did? And I think it would be to be able to put that plaque up and say, you know, we're part of this and this is what we've reached. We wanted to, I said, and I think some of the guys said no to this, but I wanted to be able to rate schools and groups and say, this is what their wastage is based on. And I don't see a problem with that. I like the idea of saying this school was actually leading the way in reducing food waste. I don't know. I think, that's something that I'm pretty keen on doing.
Okay, so I would bring it back to the solutions and what are the practical things you implemented. So we talked about the process previously, about how this program was ran, but I'm keen to talk about the solutions. What are the things that you're planning to implement as a result of going through this program? So starting with you, Richard, can you talk to us about what, because it was, I should say, for each business there were quite a number of opportunities that were brainstormed, but not all of them can be actioned or actioned at the same time and require time to roll out. So maybe, Richard, if you start with the ones that, you know, what were some of the initiatives you looked at, and what are you actioning now versus what are you looking to action in the future?
So I think primarily our initial focus was really looking at what we produce on a daily basis and really getting into the figures that we produce. And I think what we tended to do was just kind of say, okay, we'll produce this amount every day, and not really analyze our sales, know our sales, but not really look at what our wastage was, and not make change on a daily basis in how much we produce. So that was our number one action, was to look at reducing the amount that we produce on certain days, look at cutting back on the number of lines that we produce. So we, there were some bread products that we were producing every day of the week, and really we were only selling 1 or 2 of those lines some days of the week. So we just cut those down. So we really worked on that and focused on that. We looked at the numbers that we were producing, and that I would say would be where we've had our biggest win. And from team buy-in, we're making their job a lot easier. So they were a lot happier. The bakers weren't having to stand around baking as much as they were previously. So, a little bit of a win there from them. A couple of other things that we've worked on immediately. And I guess another one that we're really happy with that we've launched and we've been doing for 3 weeks now was the Too Good To Go program. So Too Good To Go are they're an app where consumers can go on and look to purchase end of day mystery bags from selected businesses. There is $30 worth of products that they can go onto the app and buy to collect at the end of the day for $10. So the nature of our business is that it's inevitable that we're going to have end of day waste, but we're able to go on and sell those on to consumers who go on the app and purchase them. So we've had a great win from that. We've been doing that for 3 weeks. We've managed to sell across our 3 bakeries over 300 bags in 3 weeks. So we set a maximum of 10 bags per day per bakery. That's what the app does. So not everybody can come in at the end of the day and buy one. So there is a kind of, it's amazing to watch. Consumers will jump on at 7 o'clock at night when the next day's bags become available and buy them straight away. So it's interesting to see. Financially, we're actually covering the cost of a lot of our wastage by selling these bags. But, Too Good To Go are great at producing figures on letting us know some of the environmental issues that we've addressed. And so within 3 weeks, we've saved 865 kilos of CO2 emissions. So, it's a great environmental win there for us. And on top of that, the amount of wastage that would have gone into landfill as well.
That's fantastic. And looking forward, what are some of the initiatives that you haven't actioned yet, but you're hoping to down the track, Richard?
Yeah, so in the very near future, we are looking at some merchandising solutions. So obviously we have quite a big shop front. Customers don't want to walk up to a shop at the end of the day and just see 2 or 3 custard scrolls or one sad looking pizza on a shelf. So we have to try and make our bakery look full. And we have some solutions coming out where they're going to be little stands so that we can merchandise bread more creatively, fill some cabinets up with some creative, and this is something that's been introduced nationally by Bakers Delight to look at creative ways of reducing some of the empty shelves that we have.
Yeah, so consolidating the product to make it look more appealing, making sure it gets sold at the end of the day rather than, there's not much there and I won't bother. Yeah. So thank you, Richard. I might go to Beck now. So from your organisation, there was again a long list, and there was a question as well which might feed into this from Sarah. So how much of the action that was on that list, like the number of opportunities, was facilitated by other people, consultants, versus initiated by staff? So I don't know if you want to talk about the process there and then what actions came out of the program.
Yeah, for sure. Firstly, Richard, that was amazing what you're doing with that Too Good To Go app, and that I love hearing about that. That's really cool. It was we tried to most of the things that came out of the audit, we've been pushing through to implementation. So that has been really, really great. It's great when staff come up with some of the ideas, because then they kind of back their ideas as well. And then it kind of good. It just keeps growing more and more ideas. You're always looking for better and more ways. So, for example, what we didn't have on there was about our freezers. So we've got massive big freezers, and say, for example, if we were doing Mexican chicken and we're putting Mexican chicken, freezing it and putting it in for the next camp, now we've got a system where we've got on the freezer doors exactly what the quantity is in there, whereas before it was a visual and not necessarily checking and going through and rotating, even though that's all been a part of what people are required to do. After sort of the audit, it became an easier way to be able to say to staff that this is such a priority. If we need to keep those freezers really, really smick so that we know exactly what's in there, and we're not putting in stuff because we go, oh, somebody hasn't had that little bit, let's put it in the freezer and not waste it. But by putting it in the freezer, it accumulates and then hides things, and then we end up wasting way more things than that little thing to start off with. I mean, a lot of our food that we don't consume goes to our friends at the Salvation Army, so that's kind of really great. But yeah, having a better look, for example, if we're ordering from Richard 80 rolls and the school comes and there's only 65 and there's 15 left over, you know, what do we do with that 15? Don't put them in the freezer. They're not, we can't serve them for lunch. They're not going to be fresh. Don't put them in the freezer and then hide all that freezer space. And using more power to freeze things, they've just got to be given straight to the Salvation Army straight away to be used that day. So it's kind of those initiatives that they were really great to come up with afterwards as well. When I think it was also because I got back into that kitchen a bit and could see some of those practices. But we refer to the audit in our induction process. So when the teacher comes or the community group comes and are inducted onto site, we talk to them about being a part of the audit, and we now are in the process of putting that into our booking system. So a booking system that when there's a lot of information that goes out to school about what this process is, it says we may do an audit while you're on site. We don't know when we're doing audits, but this is for our future audits, but we may be doing our audits on site. So let them kind of know that can be happening and to pass that on to the students. So in that straight away, they know they're coming to a food waste audit site. It takes it seriously. So that's been really great. We are able to say now to the camps managers that getting numbers is so important. We used to push that a lot. We need to know the exact, you've got to get onto the client and find exactly how many people are coming. Don't let them give it to you at the last moment. They've got to come early, and they've got to do that because of food waste. And now that message can then be put to the schools of this isn't just for convenience or how much we're going to bill you. It's not a financial thing. It's not about the bottom line. It's about food waste. We don't want to be involved in food waste. So that's one of the initiatives that's been really great. We serve from a Bain Marie, but we also have a buffet, especially when we've got things like a Mexican chicken. So our table is full of vibrant, healthy, really great food for people to top up on their rice and chicken. But the plates are getting so huge that nobody can sort of eat all the food that's on there. So now it is getting smaller portions out there and having staff rotate and getting food out there. So we've got that pretty much perfect. We'd have no wastage really from the buffet table, but then and it was really great. Like I was somebody that said, if we can get the food down the middle and you can get two groups of kids on either side of the table, then they can just get through so much quicker. And I didn't like the teachers there controlling portions because I thought it's their food time. The teachers, move away, let the kids get their own food. But then, we got food waste. plate wastage. So it was that I had to sort of, take that kind of back a bit and go, but sometimes teachers do need to be there and go, that's your portion's too big, my friend. So that's been interesting. And also, I guess, to say that's actually none of my business. Whatever happens between the school and the teacher, that's not anything that I need to get involved with anyway. That's their thing. So that's been great. So we have even less plate wastage since we've been doing that one. Another one was breakfast. I kind of sometimes was thinking that we might have had a bit of wastage on breakfast, but that is just putting less out and topping up. But we don't really have much wastage at breakfast now. Either. And what we still have, we've got in the pipeline, is getting signage around the site as well that talks directly to food wastage.
Thanks, Beck. And it sounds like you've embedded a lot of the things into your staff induction, your engagement with the customers, to make that front and centre, to enable those conversations and make some slight adjustments to your food service as well. I might just go to John. John, so from your organisation's perspective at McCracken Resort, what are the initiatives that you're looking to implement?
Okay, so I mean, looking to implement is down the track. Have implemented is a difference.
Yep.
So obviously my biggest concern was things I can actually control, which was buffet waste and plate waste. There wasn't much I could do about prep waste, but when it came to buffet during the winter months, I've cancelled buffet. We don't do buffet anymore. Everything's cooked to order now.
Okay.
We were on the weekends. We still do buffet on the weekends, but as opposed to doing full-length Bain Maries, we've reduced them by half, and we just top them up more regularly, so we don't have that sheer volume that potentially might or might not be wasted at the end of the day. I guess we were pretty upfront with our customers, and we're talking to them daily about the actual initiative and sort of saying, hi guys, when you're going up to the buffet, we're in the middle of X, feel free to go back multiple times, as opposed to loading up a plate that you're then going to go and waste, which has all come through. Coffee grounds we're now using on our veggie patch. Veggie patch and herb garden are being established at the moment. And I'm just in the sort of final negotiations now with the corporate to put in our aquaponics plant. So all of our applicable food waste that can go towards feeding the fish. And then obviously that fish waste will feed the veggie gardens. We've got this really good relationship going between the waste stream and future profit centres. So the fact that now having guests can actually come out to the beer garden and see the ponds and see the herb walls and see the fish and sort of have a hands-on visual of, the actual initiative, and that drives them, I guess, to be more cautious themselves about waste.
Mm-hmm.
When you see the efforts that we're going to now, I definitely notice people aren't filling up their plates till they're overflowing after you've had that chat with them. A lot of them are doing the multiple trips. It's more dishes for the dishy in the kitchen, but I think we waste a lot more than we pay him, so it's worth it.
Thank you, John. I just want to end this panel with a last question. So, what advice would you give to another business looking to go on this journey of reducing their food waste? Beck, starting with you.
So I guess food, and I know this is obvious, food waste relates to businesses that provide food. So it's kind of that no-brainer of, we're accommodation and food, as John is as well. So it can't be anything but a priority. So my advice, would be, it sits well with a triple bottom line. That's and it gives you the backup that you need to really encourage staff and guests to be a part of it. I think that would be my sort of best advice of get the audit questionnaire however they get access to it or purchase it, get it and use it and make it a regular thing.
And I think for anyone standing on the fence, get themselves a set of scales. Do it for 2 weeks. At the end of the 2 weeks, seeing that number and that volume and then calculating it as a loss or potential revenue loss or just a straight loss, it really makes you think. And you can do all the questionnaires you like, but until you see that scale and that weight and that raw product, it doesn't hit home. And I think anyone that got scales at a business and did this process for 2 weeks would make sharp changes.
Richard.
Yeah, and I guess to do the audit, you have to have the scales, you have to have the waste, the scales. Yeah, the audit, that all comes together, doesn't it? You can't really have one without the other. Yeah, I agree.
We can't hear Richard, sorry.
On mute.
Sorry, I would encourage everybody to do it as well. I think, as Beck said, there's so many benefits to doing it. The team became engaged in it. It became something that everybody was focused on. And just the flow down and the increased productivity, the reduction for us in kind of what we were producing, wasting ingredients, the savings in costs were beneficial, far outweighed the whatever effort we had to put into it.